Hello everybody, I'm Sarah, the Real Simple Mama. I'm cold and my dog is being frisky because this video is about changes that you are going to notice with your chickens as the weather gets colder. Okay, so this video, to be honest, if you have watched all of my other content, I pity you. No, I'm just kidding. But I do feel like a lot of the things I'm going to say have been touched on in other videos. The main video that I have for the winter weather is winterizing your chicken coop. And then I have another video about, keeping chickens warm in the winter. So as the temperature is changing and we're getting into fall / winter, it feels like winter right now in Texas. I just wanted to give a couple of quick reminders, but this is more specific, not as much as like what you need to do to prepare the chicken coop, but just sort of changes to expect as the weather gets colder, as far as how your interaction and how life with chickens is going to change as it gets colder. My dog. So in South Texas, it has dropped down into the 50s and it is crazy windy. Like, look at how much I've had to prop up my poor hibiscus tree so it doesn't fall over. And it's ridiculous. But of course, because it's Texas, it's going to be, right now it's a Friday night and I'm out here doing a video because I'm super hip. But it is going to be, I think, in the 90s by Monday or Tuesday because Texas. So, all right. So here are the changes or the things that are going to be different in regards to your birds, their behavior, their productivity as it gets colder. And they are being perfect models for me right now for once. Because the main things you're going to notice with your girls, hi girls, is that they're going to be fluffed up a lot and that they're going to eat more because, of course, I mean, I wish I could eat more to stay warm. That would be a great strategy. And their fan is on for some reason. I'm going to have to go change their timer. Hey girls. Hey. So chickens stay warm by fueling their bodies more. Literally, the process of them digesting increases their body temperature. So your chickens are going to probably go through more food as it starts to get colder. Now, if we're talking about just making them eat their layer feed, their layer crumble, or their layer pellets, you don't really have to worry about your chickens getting obese. They will lean out once the temperature gets warmer. You do want to be careful. I'm gonna go shut this fan off. You do want to be careful about giving them too many treats. Now, I am known, and I have a video that's the recipe, as I try to do this with one hand. I have been known to make my chickens oatmeal in the morning before I have my own breakfast. So it is totally okay for them to have a treat like that. But I will say, if you want to give your birds treats, and excuse me as I shut off this fan. So thing number one is for them to stay warm, they're going to eat more. You may go through food more quickly, you may not. But of course, they always need access to layer feed. And they always need access to clean water. Always, 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 always. Right, Callie? Thank you for chiming in. The next thing that you're going to notice is that your chickens, like I said, are going to fluff up. Whoop. Because the way their bodies work is, like I said, eating more increases their body temperature, but if you're standing out in the cold, your body is still going to be expending all of that heat. So what they do is they fluff up, and when they fluff up, they make little pockets of air in between each layer of feathers. So instead of all the feathers just laying flat and flush right against each other, it turns into feather, pocket of air, feather, pocket of air. And each of those pockets of air, because it's against their body, will warm up. So they're basically making little heat packs in between each layer of feathers. This does not apply to chickens who are not full grown yet. So if you have little chicks who are not fully feathered, they have no fluff on them anymore, they have no down, they're covered in their feathers. Until they are fully covered in adult feathers, they cannot control their body temperature. So this is not relevant if you've got chicks. If you have chicks and you've got a broody hen or a mama hen has hatched her babies, you need to make sure that mama is getting them inside at night and getting them warm, because those little chicks cannot control their own body temperature. So, I'm not going to let my girls ever raise chicks. We don't even have a rooster. But certainly, if you're letting a mom raise her babies, make sure, number one, that she doesn't abandon them or reject them. Sometimes that happens. And then make sure that they have plenty of places where they can get in and they can get warm out of the wind. Okay. The other exception is if you guys have frizzles, let me know how it is with frizzles. I always assumed that frizzled chickens, they're the ones who look like they've been electrocuted. Their feathers it reminds me of the old school Nancy Drew. Their feathers all flip outwards, in every direction. I would assume that they cannot control their body temperature as well either, because it's not the waterproof feather that is up against their body, but I don't know. So I always tell people, you know, I assume that they cannot. And then, of course, silkies, who are the cute little show ones that look like they're little puff balls, they cannot control their own body temperature because those feathers do not hold in heat. So those are the exceptions. The exceptions are if you have babies who are not fully grown, who do not have their full feathers, they cannot control their body temperature. They need to either be with mama, or they need to be in a brooder where you are controlling the temperature, right? And frizzles, I think, and silkies are the three exceptions to this whole they can keep themselves warm. Now, I will say, and I've said in many other videos, again, like I said, this one is a recap of a lot of other stuff. So if you've been on my channel for a while, you could probably recite all of this content by now, in which case, yay. I feel like I have done my job as your humble teacher. But chickens do a lot better in the cold than they do in the heat. Chickens can live, you know, like up in the northern United States. I mean, heck, like over in, you know, in the England and UK area, chickens can go out in the snow. And I mean, they're cold, but they're fine. There's no danger. The danger is if it's cold and wet or cold and windy and they have nowhere where they can escape. Now, you can see my girls right now. It's in the 50s right now, and it's very, very breezy. Like I said, my pots have been knocked over all day. There's been stuff that's been flying off my porch, and they're out. They're puffed up, but they're out. But they do have plenty of places to go in and get out of the wind where they can just warm back up, they can eat, and they can just hang out. Right, Lace? Chick-chick. The last thing, and this is, you know, a point of argument for some people, is your chickens are not going to lay as much in the colder weather. It's not necessarily because they're cold, though. Really, the reason that they're not laying as much is because they're having less hours of daylight. A chicken, most breeds of chicken, if they are a good, strong laying breed, remember, not like a meat bird, but a good either hybrid breed or a good layer, they will need about 14 hours or more of sunlight every day in order to lay an egg. And they normally don't lay eggs right when they wake up in the morning, right? It's like they have to come out and charge their little solar batteries for a while before they lay eggs. I'm going to go around and see if I can catch them on the other side of the shed. See, look at this. Like, all my stuff has been blown over. It's like absolutely ridiculous. So it's not necessarily that it's cold and that's what makes your chickens not lay eggs as often. It's because the days are shorter. So if you're over here on my side of the world and right now it's starting to get colder and the days are shorter, it's really the lack of daylight that's the reason. Oh my gosh. That's the reason that you're not getting as many eggs. Now, you can do one of two things. In my humble opinion, and doing hours of research and reading and talking to other people, you can force your chickens to lay more often by basically putting a light on in the coop and having it do either a couple of hours before daylight, you know, before sunrise. Hey, girls. My dog is being ridiculous. Go, Sadie, go. Jeez, what a dork. So you can basically extend their daylight hours and trick their body, okay? Trick like their circadian rhythm, basically. And you either extend their hours, you know, in the morning, like before sunrise by a couple of hours, or in the evening by a couple of hours. It doesn't really matter, or you could do one on either end. It doesn't matter. You can do that. They will lay for you through the winter more consistently instead of you seeing a decline in eggs. But the flip side is you're basically working their body harder. So to put it bluntly, you may be, you know, taking a couple of years off of your hen's life. And, you know, that's up to you. For me, you know, I'm doing this as a hobby. Yeah, they make eggs for me and they're wonderful and they're organic. And I don't like supporting the, you know, the conventional egg industry of just buying eggs from the store, because I don't like supporting, you know, that industry, the way that livestock is treated. So to me, because these are pets and because I care about them, and this is not my livelihood, right? Like, this is not a moneymaker for me. These are my pets. So for me, I don't want to do that. It's totally up to you if that's something you need to do for your family or something that you choose to do. But I would do more research if you're just going to put a light on in the coop, to just see, you know, what people have noticed, people who have done that for generations worth of chickens, to see, you know, what you notice. Because basically you're running their body harder than if you just let nature take its course, let their body kind of regroup and rest and refresh and replenish and all those other R words so that as the days get longer, you know, months from now, they'll be really good layers again. So that's totally up to you. I choose to not do that. You know, I worry about the fire hazard. I worry about putting more stress on their bodies just to appease me. So I don't, you know, but I also don't need that. So no judgment here. You're welcome to ask questions about that kind of thing in the comments, but that's not something that I do. But you're welcome to chime in with your opinions on that. But see how fluffed up they are? Look how cute. These birds. These birds. So the three things that you're really going to notice, the main points here for, you know, for most of these traditional chicken breeds, I almost said chicken brands, for most of these traditional chicken breeds is, number one, they're going to eat more. It doesn't mean give them more treats. I'm going to stick to, you know, black oil sunflower seeds or mealworms or black soldier fly larvae, and making oatmeal that's got, you know, raw garlic and cayenne and red pepper flakes in it, because that to me has more health benefits as well. It's like if I'm going to give them a treat, I want it to be a healthy treat and not just filler and not just junk, but that's just me. So that's number one, is make sure they always, you know, have food and water, because they're fluffy, because they're going to be eating more to stay warm. That's how that little furnace keeps burning. Step two, girls, is you need to make sure that they have a place to get out of the wet and to get out of the wind. They're okay being in the cold. Like, I'm miserable right now. I'm wearing 2 layers and like I feel like my fingers are turning blue, but they're doing okay. But they also know that they can go in and chill out in the coop. They can eat, they can have a snack. You know, it's like hanging out in a little coffee shop. They can just get warm, they can relax, they can puff up, they can still dust bathe, they can do all of the chicken things they need to do, and then they can go back outside. So you need to make sure that they have an area. A lot of people who use, you know, old trampolines or old sheds or just, you know, like little lean-to structures, what they do is they make, they use, and you can buy old shower curtains. I mean, I am the queen of cheap. So you can buy old shower curtains like pool tarps, whatever, but they line 2 or 3 sides of this square or rectangular space with, you know, some type of windbreaker. And then the last one is open, and that way the chickens are blocked from the wind. If you go look at my really old videos of the Innovation Pet chicken coop, that's what I did. I blocked up a whole third of the area so they could kind of go and have this little pocket out of the wind. Okay. The third thing is you are going to see a decrease in eggs. And remember, a decrease in eggs happens for chickens as they age anyway, but it's also going to happen as the days get shorter. It's not necessarily the temperature drop, it's the days getting shorter. And there are things you can do to combat that, but that's totally up to you, and that's, you know, that's whatever you think is good. If you've got a mama hen who's got chicks, you need to keep an eye and, you know, do like a little roll call, like take attendance every day. Make sure she hasn't abandoned or rejected any of the chicks, and make sure that she's got ample opportunities to get them out of the wind, out of the wet, out of the cold. You need to be careful for those chickens who cannot control their body temperature. But other than that, preparing for the winter weather is way easier than preparing for a huge heat wave of over 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So don't worry too much. But those are just some things to expect with your birds and their behavior as the weather starts to drop, as the temperature gets lower and lower and lower. And like I said, this time of year is goofy because we're getting this little taste of cold. You know, it's like, yeah, we're going to decorate for Halloween this weekend. And, you know, I'm going to start making big batches of oatmeal and pulling out all of those crock pot soup recipes and roast recipes and all that stuff. And then next week it's going to be in the 90s. So it's just a tease, Texas. You're just a tease. But look at these birds. They're all fluffed up, but they're happy. They're functioning. Their color looks good. They're doing chicken stuff. Right, girls? So we're good. So again, check out that winterized video. It goes way more into detail of all the things you should do to prep your coop. The last thing I'll say is if you're looking at anything that uses electricity or power, whether you're talking about a chicken heater, which I've mentioned in other videos, I'm totally against them for many reasons, or you're using one of those defroster things for your chicken water so it doesn't ice over, or you're using the light to manually, you know, trick your chickens' bodies into laying more, please, 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 this is my little statement for you. Please be super, super careful with electricity going into your coop. Please be super aware of the risks. Check everything regularly. Every season in San Antonio alone, every season, I personally know people who's had some sort of malfunction, some sort of short. You know, there's the crazy ants that eat electrical. There are all different kinds of rodents. Hello, here they come. All different kinds of, and there goes a feather. All different kinds of vermin and rodents who will come and chew on electrical, and Every year, there is somebody who not only do they lose a chicken due to a fire or some sort of electrical problem, but the entire coop burns down, usually in the night, and their entire flock is gone. The entire coop is gone. There was somebody last season where the coop was close enough to their house that their house caught on fire. Like, it's crazy. Just for a little bit of convenience, or just for thinking that your chickens need a heater. They do not need a heater, I promise. Even if temperature gets below freezing, they do not need a heater. And I'll probably do an entire video on why I personally don't think that heaters are a good idea, just to not make this video super long. But please, 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 if you choose to do that, whether it's because you need the eggs or you think your little babies need a heater or whatever the case may be, please be careful. You are welcome to put questions, suggestions, ideas. This community is so great. I love you guys so much. You know, Kathleen and Rose and Dean and Rich and Nikki, and there are so many of you who you always comment. You always are helping other people, and you're just wonderful. So if you guys have questions, if you have comments, if you're about ready to get chickens, if you're building a coop, whatever the case may be, drop comments, suggestions. Let's help each other, and I'll be back soon with more content. Stay warm.